Students frequently ask this question: how can I spot and convert passive voice? Well, there are three easy ways to spot passive voice. They are: look at the subject, look for a form of the to be verb plus a past participle, and then look for a by marker. Let's take the first of these. Look at the person or thing in the usual subject position. That means what appears at the beginning of the sentence. And then ask this question: is he, she, or it doing the main action of the sentence? Because if not, then we have a passive sentence. Let's look at an example. Here's a sentence that we can examine. The entrance was guarded by a three-headed dog. In this sentence, what appears in the usual subject position is the entrance. But notice that the entrance isn't doing the guarding. The guarding is being done by a three-headed dog. So let's look at another way of writing this sentence. A three-headed dog, that's our subject, guarded the entrance. Now we have an active sentence. And here's our three-headed dog. So how did we convert this sentence from passive to active? Here's the sentence again. The entrance was guarded by a three-headed dog. And when we know who the active agent is, we really can just flip the sentence. Take that three-headed dog, put it in the right subject position, and then move the entrance to the end of the sentence. Now we have a problem with the verb, so we need to convert the verb to make it fit. A three-headed dog guarded the entrance. Notice that we did not change the tense of the verb. We kept the original tense. Don't confuse past tense with passive voice. It uses a past tense looking past participle, but it isn't always in past tense. So here's the second way that you can spot passive voice. Look for a to be verb, a form of the to be verb, paired with or plus a past participle. A past participle of a verb is the form of the verb that looks like simple past tense. Let's look at an example. This sentence is, my boss is confused by sales data. It's in passive voice because, as you'll notice, the subject position, my boss, is not doing the confusing in this sentence. So let's look for that verb to be. Here it is. Is is the present tense form of the to be verb, and this sentence is in present tense. That is, my boss is confused right now, today, not yesterday or last week, but today. The past participle then is confused. It looks like past tense, but it doesn't make the sentence be in past tense. It just makes it present tense, but in passive voice. So here's the past participle. My boss is confused by sales data. So how do we convert this sentence from passive to active? Well, we do it the same way as the last example. We look for the active agent, and we know here that sales data is what's really doing the confusing. So let's then flip those. Now we have sales data in the correct subject position, but the verb is still awkward. So let's correct the verb by using the present tense form of confuse. Sales data confuses my boss. And in this case, we have not changed the tense of the verb. We're still in the original present tense. So here's a third way of spotting passive voice. Look for a by marker that points to the active agent. This little word by will tell you who should be in the subject position of the sentence. So let's look at another example of a passive sentence. His brain had been devoured. Now, if we don't have the little word by, we don't know who did the devouring. So if you encounter a sentence like that, you'll have to figure out who did the devouring or else invent somebody. But if we have the little word by, it points to the active agent. In this case, his brain had been devoured by zombies. So let's look again at how we convert a passive sentence to an active one. First, we have to determine who actually is doing the action. And in this case, we know that zombies are doing the action. So we can just flip the sentence as we've been doing. We can take zombies and move it to the subject position and then flip it with his brain. Now we have to convert the verb. Zombies had devoured his brain. And notice that again we have kept the original tense of the verb. So let's review. To identify passive voice, look for the following 3 clues. First, is the person, place, or thing in the usual subject position actually doing the main action of the sentence? Second, do you see a to be verb coupled with a past participle of a verb? And finally, does a by marker point to the active agent of the sentence? Also, in an active sentence, the person or object in the subject position is doing the main action of the sentence. So if you see that, you know you have an actively structured sentence. To convert a passive sentence, move that active agent into the subject position and go from there. And finally, keep the original tense of the sentence.